The Vanessa Guillen case shocked the nation in 2020. Vanessa, a 20-year-old U.S. Army specialist stationed at Fort Hood, Texas, went missing in April 2020. Before her disappearance, she had confided in family that she was being sexually harassed on base but feared retaliation if she reported it. After an extensive search, her dismembered remains were found 2 months later near the Leon River. Investigators determined that fellow soldier Aaron Robinson had killed Vanessa in an armory room with a hammer. With the help of his girlfriend, Cecily Aguilar, he disposed of her body. Robinson died by suicide when confronted by police, while Aguilar was arrested and later charged for her role in the cover-up. The case sparked national outrage over harassment and violence in the military, leading to widespread calls for reform. Vanessa's family became vocal advocates for change, resulting in the I Am Vanessa Guillen Act to improve military reporting of harassment and assault. Her story remains a powerful reminder of the need for accountability and justice within the armed forces. The Atlanta child murders occurred between 1979 and 1981, during which at least 28 children, teenagers, and young adults, mostly black, were killed in Atlanta, Georgia. The victims, many of whom disappeared while performing everyday tasks, were found strangled, asphyxiated, or dumped in remote locations. The murders terrified the city, leading to one of the largest investigations in U.S. history, involving local police, the FBI, and the National Guard. In 1981, Wayne Williams, a 23-year-old freelance photographer, was arrested after police connected him to the murder of 2 adults. Fibers from his home and car were linked to multiple victims, and he was convicted of 2 murders. Authorities attributed 22 of the child murders to Williams, though he was never formally charged for them. The case remains controversial, with some believing Williams was wrongly accused or that he didn't act alone. In 2019, Atlanta reopened the case to apply modern forensic techniques, but questions about the true extent of Williams's involvement remain unanswered. The Gabby Petito case captivated the nation in 2021, after the 22-year-old was reported missing during a cross-country road trip with her fiancé, Brian Laundrie. Gabby was last seen in late August, in Wyoming's Grand Teton National Park. Her disappearance gained widespread attention after Brian returned home to Florida alone, refusing to cooperate with authorities. Public interest grew as Gabby's social media presence portrayed an idyllic life, contrasting with emerging reports of tension in the couple's relationship. On September 19th, Gabby's remains were found in Wyoming, and her death was ruled a homicide by strangulation. Meanwhile, Brian vanished shortly after being named a person of interest. His remains were discovered in a Florida nature reserve in October, along with a notebook in which he confessed to killing Gabby. The case sparked national discussions about domestic violence, the media's focus on missing white women, and gaps in police intervention. Gabby's story continues to raise awareness about the warning signs of abusive relationships. The Boston Strangler case refers to the murders of 13 women in the Boston area between 1962 and 1964. The victims, ranging in age from 19 to 85, were found strangled in their homes, often sexually assaulted, with the killer gaining entry by posing as a repairman or maintenance worker. The murders terrified the city and became one of the most infamous serial killer cases in U.S. history. Albert DeSalvo, a handyman with a criminal history, confessed to the murders in 1964 while in custody for unrelated sexual assaults. Although DeSalvo's confession contained detailed information about the crimes, inconsistencies and the lack of physical evidence left doubts about whether he was the sole perpetrator. DeSalvo was never tried for the murders and was sentenced to life in prison for other crimes. He was killed in prison in 1973. In 2013, DNA evidence linked DeSalvo to the final victim, Mary Sullivan, but questions remain about whether all the murders were committed by the same person. The case remains a chilling mystery in criminal history. The Kelsey Berreth case shocked the nation in 2018 when the 29-year-old Colorado flight instructor and mother disappeared on Thanksgiving Day. Kelsey was last seen at a grocery store with her 1-year-old daughter, and her fiancé, Patrick Frazee, initially claimed she had left voluntarily. However, investigators uncovered evidence suggesting foul play, including her phone being used to send misleading texts after her disappearance. Frazee was later revealed to have brutally murdered Kelsey with a baseball bat at her home and enlisted his mistress, Crystal Lee, to help clean up the crime scene and dispose of Kelsey's body. Lee cooperated with authorities, providing key testimony against Frazee, who was convicted of first-degree murder in 2019 and sentenced to life in prison without parole. The case highlighted the dangers of domestic violence and manipulation, leaving a lasting impact on Kelsey's family and community as they sought justice for her and her daughter. The Jessica Chambers case gained national attention in 2014 after the 19-year-old from Cortland, Mississippi, was found walking along a rural road, severely burned, after her car was set on fire. Jessica had been doused with gasoline and intentionally set ablaze, suffering burns over 93% of her body. She died hours later in a Memphis hospital, but not before allegedly saying a name that investigators hoped could lead to her killer. Quentin Tellis, a local man with a criminal record, was later charged with Jessica's murder. Prosecutors argued that Tellis and Chambers had been together before the attack, and that Tellis set her on fire after an argument. However, the defense highlighted inconsistencies in witness statements and the lack of definitive forensic evidence tying Tellis to the crime. 2 trials in 2017 and 2018 ended in hung juries, leaving the case unresolved. Jessica's tragic death remains controversial, with no conviction and lingering questions about the events of that fateful night. The Dayton Christmas killings in 1992 were a violent crime spree that left 6 people dead and 2 injured in Dayton, Ohio, between December 24th and 26th. A group of 4, known as the Downtown Posse, consisting of Marvelous Keene, Laura Taylor, DeMarcus Smith, and Heather Matthews, carried out the attacks. The spree began on Christmas Eve with the murder of 18-year-old Danita Gillette during a robbery. On Christmas Day, they killed 19-year-old Richmond Maddox and continued their violence into December 26th, murdering Sarah Abraham during a convenience store robbery and executing acquaintances Wendy Cottrell and Marvin Washington to silence potential witnesses. The group was quickly apprehended after their crimes. Marvelous Keene, considered the ringleader, was convicted and sentenced to death, while the others received life sentences. Keene was executed in 2009. The case shocked the Dayton community and remains a haunting reminder of the senseless violence that can occur even during the holidays. The Molly Tibbetts case garnered national attention in 2018 when the 20-year-old University of Iowa student disappeared while jogging near her hometown of Brooklyn, Iowa. A massive search ensued, involving local authorities, the FBI, and volunteers. After weeks of investigation, surveillance footage led police to Christian Bahena Rivera, a local farm worker. Rivera admitted to following Molly and claimed he blacked out after she threatened to call the police. He led authorities to a cornfield where Molly's body was found, covered with corn stalks. An autopsy revealed she had been stabbed to death. Rivera was charged and later convicted of first-degree murder in 2021. Molly's death shocked the nation and sparked debates on immigration, as Rivera was an undocumented immigrant. Her family, however, focused on honoring Molly's life and creating a foundation to support children and education. Her father denounced those who appropriate Molly's soul in advancing views she believed were profoundly racist. The case remains a tragic reminder of the dangers young women face and the importance of community support during crisis.